Hey, welcome everybody to Uncle John's Arm Wrestling Show. Thanks for being with us today. It's a special episode because we are on Misel Jeddore's channel for a change with my good buddy Misel Jeddore. If you don't know, Misel is the man who has helped me create the Uncle John you see today. We've known each other for over a year now. Misel has been guiding my nutrition since November, I think it was, of last year, and has brought me from like 255, 260 all the way down to 190, and now we've built back up to about 210 for my match at Arm Wars. So how you doing, buddy? What's going on?
Good. And the 210 is a lot better now than it was when we originally came down.
Oh man, so originally 210 was in March. I was 210 in March of this year, and like my face was still very puffy, and it was not the same thing as we
had like the whole different style and everything cutting down. You had like the flat hair still. You were like, who is this new John? Yeah, you grew into yourself.
It's a whole new thing. So my thanks to you, good sir, because without your guidance, it really probably wouldn't have happened. So
and always chalk up.
Always chalk up, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to get into some interesting stuff today. So for those of you that don't know, I went to Newfoundland a little bit over a month ago now.
Like 6 weeks?
6 weeks, 5-6 weeks. And there was a great event, Lumberjack Super Showdown #3. We had a bunch of super matches, which I've put out on my channel, so check those out. But what we did that we haven't really done anything with yet is 2 days before. This was like 5 minutes after I got to your house, I think.
If not less, yeah, not even kidding. We never even had a snack.
We directly went to the table and we did a little polling, because you and we've talked for hours about, okay, try doing this, try doing that. But
with my questions that you would never be able to answer unless you actually help.
Right. It's like you got to feel it. You got to understand it. So a couple things to remember. We're going to show you guys a video of the very first time that we kind of pulled. And I went through my little teaching process of feeling Misel out, seeing where things were at. And just keep in mind, this was 2 days before the event. So we didn't get like too crazy, right? Because I had the big left-handed 29-man thing, and I had a right-handed super match as well. So we're going to bring up this video, and my plan was to just kind of talk about things that I remember, have you talk about things you remember, and then what we see, and kind of use this as a launching point for, really to get you ready for the Atlantics, which are happening in October.
First big tournament. Can't wait.
Yes. So October 16th, is it? Saturday?
Yeah. What I was thinking about doing Atlantics that I've never done the last time was when they say go, I'm going to try to go this way.
Yes. That's a good start.
That's the new plan, yeah. New plan, yeah. And not just put my hand out in the center of the table and be like, please, sir, take any grip you want.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be nice here.
With 2 steps, yeah. I think I said sorry to Rob McNamara, the ref, like 48 times during my one super match.
Yeah, well, sometimes you gotta let people know. You just
straighten your wrist. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just bends it back.
Referees. So for those of you watching, we're gonna let's see. I'm gonna share my screen here. You are looking thick. Well, how heavy were you at this point? The mouth agape. You're massive. Like 250, 260 right here.
262, I think I was, because I was 258 the 2 days later.
Nice. So
I'm wearing like the same shirt right now.
Yeah. And what are you now, like 230?
229, yeah.
Nice. So as we go through this, just look at what I'm always looking for is the hips, the angles, there's
a lot of hips, so we got a good visual. That's the main thing.
Yeah, the visual for your body is very good. So we're gonna come back and touch on some of the things, but what I'm doing right now was just I'm watching everything, right? I'm trying to watch where your elbow is going, where your hand is in relation to your elbow and the rest of your body. If you're engaging your lat, where your lower body is, and all that type of stuff. So that's where I always try to start, because I can get a lot of information rather quickly about, you know, the good things and the bad things.
And this was probably the cleanest I've ever pulled in my life, because
Right.
you were there. Yeah.
Right.
Outside of that, it would probably just be.
Yeah. So everything here was very controlled, very, you know, slow kind of build up and then just go through the motions and everything. Nobody is teeing off on anybody. This is all about gaining data and learning something useful. So from my memory, now this is kind of the first time I've fully watched this since it happened. But what I remember is your hand is really freaking strong.
That's all, like, you could even see there, I'm just all palm and you're all fingers, so it's so weird.
Yeah, you are really, it was really impressive to me, your initial drive sideways like this. And I think the best thing that you have going right now is the fact that your elbow and your hand are very much in sync. You're moving your elbow, you're rolling over, you're kind of doing that joint roll thing really nicely as well. The early problems I'm seeing is distance between the elbow and the lat is really spreading out. And then with that, the hip is slightly going away from the table. So let's take a look at the distance between the elbow and the lat.
I think you might have just told me. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. That's probably exactly what I'm doing.
Because outside every other pull, I was just flying away. And now I'm a lot higher.
Yeah, so that's a little bit better. So that's not bad. That's not bad. One of the things that's kind of happening is one of the big things that probably people that are watching this are going to notice is I'm not really paying too much attention to your starting upper body, like a little bit. I'm telling you to put your shoulder forward a bit. Obviously, you're not going to be able to start in quite such an extreme turn. This one's a little bit better. Now, the number one thing that I keep going to, you're doing a good job of starting with that hip, but everything is coming away, right? It's like away, away. And what we want you to do is split the difference between what you're doing there and start moving forward. And what I mean by forward is towards the pin pad, right?
Like Cobra?
Yeah, like that's straight forward. So that hip doesn't have to fully fall away from the table. You can drive forward once you have whatever it is that you want out of the go, right? So
I'll put a little more trust in my elbow too.
Yeah, get that cup sunk in, or get that pronation set, whatever it is that you're going to go for, and then really turn your body and just drive it all sideways, because you have it all there. Like, you have the connections feel very, very solid. It's just a matter of finding the grooves now. That's I'm telling you, with your power, just from what I felt in this little 10-minute thing, especially right-handed, like, the power is there. You just have to get in those grooves, and you have to get there as quickly as you possibly can and have no doubt about where the groove is, right? Like, so for you, like, the repetitions of finding that spot.
Oh,
so like,
there I go.
What you just did there was,
you were like, what the fuck are you doing?
let's go back and restart that and what the problem is here. So this is the opposite of what I was pretty much.
I think this is what I'm complaining about. I can't feel my hand anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at this point, the lat and the elbow are completely spread out. Like, you're still, don't get me wrong, you're still super strong in this position, but you've got nowhere to go, right? There's nowhere to go. You're dropped down, and we're still really in the center of the table at this point in time.
Yeah, 100%.
And then I'm able to stonewall. You're able to stand up, which is really good. So now it's just these little points.
That was just based on pure pec being able to stand up.
Right.
Yeah.
So what we want you to start thinking about in my opinion, is when you start to feel the separation. That's what you have to be aware of. As soon as you feel the separation, you got to stop.
And like, the thing is, I have such a connected press on my left. I don't know why I don't trust to stay up on top of it. Like, my left press and my right press is incomparable. My right hand is stronger in every almost way, but my left press is the only one that just doesn't hurt.
Right. The only reason you don't trust it is because it just hasn't been enough reps.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can hit the angles and get that get those angles working a little bit better, and again find that groove of where you need to be, and so you come back, right, you're super duper strong. Like, let's take a look at where it goes here, and I'm going to try to pause it where you start to trying to wake that hand back up.
My thumb like feels like 1,000,000 pounds right now from here.
All right, so you go in.
Oh, that's where you said you were going to knife hand.
Yeah, so I was really low on you, just trying to contain everything you had. But here, so your hand and your elbow and your arm are okay with what you're doing. You're pronated in, you're dragging across. You've just already lost the elbow to lat connection, right? So that's what so instead of as soon as you feel you got to stop and come back up and just hold in that locked position and just feel, and once you get in that locked position, then you start to work and you look for the alternate angles, right?
I think this is where I press.
Yeah, I think you do jump up and press.
I get sick of your fucking hand. I'm just like, how come he doesn't open like every other human being?
Yeah. Yeah, so you got that little press incorporated in there, which is perfect. It's perfect, right? And I think what's going to benefit you a lot is starting to train. Like you're doing table time a lot more now.
It's a lot more now. Yeah, it's almost no weights whatsoever.
So what I really want you to do is spend at least 10 or 15 minutes every time you practice on the table just working on the angles, like 25% power with you and whoever you're pulling, right?
Or like, would that be also beneficial where I do the one hard session with like Brad and them, and then when I take the like lighter weight guys, my second session, is that the one that I could almost just like let them go 100% and work on mine?
Yeah, well, it's really for you. Like, you want to do all of that, right? Okay. You want to do it hard. You want to do it. You want to hold. You want to attack, but you want to do it safely. But the number one thing I want you to think about, no matter what you're doing, if you're going hard, if you're not going hard, whatever it is, I want you to think about the maintenance of that full body position, right?
Look at my excitement to go right hand for the first time.
Yeah.
I was so like, I'm so left-handed.
You're the existential dread that filled me once I felt your right hand. I remember quite.
I train right hand so much.
Oh my God, yeah. Your left is good.
Yeah.
Your right is very good.
This just feels so much stronger on my right.
Yeah, like so with your left, my assessment of your left is that when I want to access your hand, I can get through your hand on the left. I cannot get through your hand on the right in a slow pull. Maybe
I do like that. Is that an okay grip? I do like the Michael Todd drop wrist.
Yeah, I mean, so
like people's fingers always look hard, mine, but I just feel comfortable because it's just a slight engagement.
Yeah, so it really depends on like what you want to do, right? If you're going for just the cup, the cup and the drive across the pad, I think that's perfect. I think it's fine to do it like that as long as you're comfortable, and as long as I can't
do this on the right as that on the right as well.
Yeah, well, the thing is once you start getting into more higher power matches with people, if people are all of a sudden exploiting something because of that, right? If you find, oh, I'm going to grip them lower to get my cup in, but then all of a sudden you're getting turned and you're getting supinated, then we'll know that that's a problem, and then you'll have to make an adjustment based on all that that information. So that was apparently the full extent of our right hand. We pulled a little bit more than that, but maybe
we did the next day just so you could be like, fuck you, Misel. I got to take away some of your power and figure out what I got to do in this next match.
Yeah, I think I was running. I was running from you, is what I was doing in that situation. But this is the thing, right? For you, we always want more power. We always want more speed. We always want all these things. But your gains from finding the appropriate body position and finding that real tightness and ability to stay tight with your lat and drive across that pad, that is going to up your game way more than, you know, just purely focusing on power. I mean, you should do it all, right? But
and one thing I'd done all the time up until I gripped up with you was I'd always just start, and my only move would be to try to turn someone's wrist like this without a cup or anything.
Right.
And I found now every time my initial thing is same time.
Yeah, that's it.
So I actually go, I was literally doing no cupping whenever I'd pull anyone. It would just be straight wrist turn.
Right.
Or straight wrist prevention, really.
And this is the big miscommunication that people have. People think it's pronation or cup. It's never pronation or cup. It's always a combination of all of it, right? They become more powerful the more you can access these different types of angles. And the other thing for you, so this is another thing that might help you think about developing those grooves and those paths, hitting for position, which I've talked about a lot in the past, right? So when you hit for position, if you're here and you're just going to work on boom, getting that cup in, right? And notice my elbow and my lat are still together. So this is like phase one, boom, and work on just getting that. Your elbow can go to the back of the pad because that seems to be kind of what you're doing is you're cupping and dragging back, right?
I feel like Giannis is the best in the world at hitting for position.
Oh, it's brutal. He does it. He does it brutally. And it's so fast because he can transition from one thing to the next. And that's what we got to get you doing. So you pull back, you got your cup, you're here. Now there's a million different ways to finish the match. And those are all the grooves that you have to find. You just have to find them without losing position. So if you say, I'm going to drive straight sideways and all of a sudden, whoa, I'm getting away from the table, that's when you got to stop and come back, right? If you can just, crank down and just pin while you're
That's what I find so comfortable is the downward pressure.
Yeah. So start working on those positions that you can access without sacrificing position at the table, right? Once you master being able to do all of the things perfectly and your body position is right on point, then you can have more freedom and bravery to get crazy and go out of position because you'll be more confident with getting back to where you need to go, right? How many times in the event did we see someone that hit like an absolute madman, had a great position, but then kept on going, and then they end up here, and then the other person just slowly boop, 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 and they can't stand up. They can't stand up because they're too far gone. This is the number one, maybe not the number one issue, but one of the main top 5 issues that all, amateur arm wrestlers have.
Like when that time Lucas almost flashed Joey, and once he got right to the pad,
and he
Joey
lost it.
In and he went. Ruh.
The whole thing went. The whole thing went.
And he was connected. He was only that far away from the pin line.
And if he would have just hit him to that position and just stopped and take a breath and think about what's happening, and then decide, am I going to push forward? Am I going to pronate out? Am I just going to keep on dragging back? You have all those options. And that is, in my opinion, that is the key for you right now in your progression, is to really stay as tight as you can to the table and just imagine your hand, your elbow, and your lat as just one solid functioning thing.
One thing I find I never do is load my lat this way. Like I never actually push into the center of my body.
Yeah.
Whenever I come up to the table, it's like I might have my elbow inside my shoulder line because I'm just thinking about it, but that's it. Like I feel no lat, no pec, nothing. Until there's a force applied that makes me want to.
Right. And so the
opposite of you.
The general consensus is put your elbow inside your body, right? The farther your elbow is outside, the less connection you're going to have with the rest of your engine, right?
Yeah, because you literally your body. Like this.
Yeah, I mean, to a point where it's comfortable. I don't do it egregiously. I have mine just tucked in nice and tight, right?
Yeah, because I'm hit borderline with my shoulder if I think about it. That sucks.
Yeah, and that's fine because when I hit, I'm just boom. So really, I'm not doing this off the go. I'm doing that. Like the whole thing moves as one unit, and then that is usually much easier to overtake.
One thing I'd like to see, talking about that movement, is how much Arachley could have done on our pronation lift.
All of it.
Like Mosier literally teed off and he went.
Ridiculous power. It's quite wild. I will 100%.
Just seeing like the people Dan has taken on of that too. I thought the first two matches at least were going to be crazy, but even when Dan Mosier did get him to his side, he was like this.
Yeah, just too much control, too much hand control, and apparently the East is making them gains. I would say is quite accurate. So we need to step up into the pocket a little bit here. So what did you feel after we kind of went there and did those few rounds? What did you feel that was different about that than what you usually felt at practice?
Absolutely loved palm contact.
Yeah.
When you took away palm contact from me, I felt like I knew nothing whatsoever. Because when we were palm to palm, like I had to horrify the setup and I'd never be allowed to start like it just to be comfortable with you.
Right.
Because as soon as we would come here, there was a gap here. My thumb was blown up. Everything was going on. I couldn't close a space in between here.
Yeah.
My comfort is come in, lock thumbs, and have everything touching together.
Right. It's like
we never actually had someone fight for the grip.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people think that it is. And a lot of people are very successful with that.
Yeah.
The problem only happens when you have someone who isn't willing to play that game, right?
Yeah, my comfort would have been a lot better if my fingers were 1.5 inches longer. That's the only way.
Right. So, and that's the thing. And that's why it's so important for everybody out there watching to understand why it's important to pull different people, right? What tends to happen is people in the same area will kind of start to pull similarly. Right? In Nova Scotia, the majority of people seem to be top rollers, right? A lot of top rollers. We have some good hookers too, but it does seem to be typically top rollers that we see. So I like to go against really strong hookers because that tests my arm a lot more, where usually I'm getting my hand tested a whole lot. Whereas it's different for you because you got a bunch of guys who are like, give me that hand, get as much.
Yeah, Larry, it's a battle of whose fingers are going to open up, like right. The most strict grip.
And then you get some dick who comes in like me, and I'm like, all right, grab on this. You know?
Damn, so bad.
Yeah. So it's just different things, different ways. And these are the types of things, like I used to arm wrestle the same way you were. I would get in there, get a big grip, and all of a sudden, I ran into these guys who were doing this weird, goofy stuff with their hands, and I could not figure out what they were doing. And then I started watching the videos. I started putting two and two together, and there we go.
Yeah.
And then we eventually.
That's like what I found was when that one time that I said I tried pulling like this, I could usually like fairly hold my own against everyone here, and I was pinning everyone a lot easier when I done that.
Yeah.
Until I met Brad, who was like the mirror of myself, and we were both holding on, even though I done that. You're not supposed to hold on, I guess, when your whole point is to try to climb and
Yeah. So, I mean, it's about mobility, right?
I gave myself by doing that a lot less finger on the back.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't as much coverage with that tiny.
So one of the key secrets for this type of grip is your ability to tighten and loosen your fingers, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going against a top roller, I will start tight, and when they start to pronate, I will loosen. And what that does, it makes them pronate into my hand, and then you see me like this in like 90% of my matches, where I have hand control and the other person is trying to pull me with their fingers only.
Yeah.
And it's because I've allowed them to over pronate into my hand, and then I clamp.
That's what happened your first round against Nathan, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. So very, very similar. It happened multiple times in the left-handed stuff too. So it's just different ways to think about using your opponent's strengths. If you got a guy who's just going to like fire off like a rocket, like Charlie McGuigan, that's what he does. He's just like, boom, he hits you so hard. And I figured out a way to just transfer all that energy into my hand while I'm rolling away from him. And that allows me to stop it. Or that, I mean, that was 2 years ago at this point, but at that point in time, that's what was working. So you just got to figure out the grooves. So, and this all comes after you find the grooves, right? Because once you find the grooves, then you don't have to think about them anymore. That's the key. Once you find out where your elbow goes, how it feels to stay tight, where your body should be in relation to your hand and your elbow, and you commit that to memory, you don't have to think about it. So you can think about what's going on with your hand a little bit better.
Make it natural action reaction.
Yeah, you can react to things so much faster because there's less processing that has to go on in your brain. And that's it. And that's just time and repetitions. That's all that is. And just grabbing different hands, feeling different things, and adjusting from there.
We should watch back the beginning because we played through like half of it right off the hop. Just so I could see where I was at. Because I felt like as I felt my hand blow up more and more like a balloon, that's when I got more and more shit.
Right. Let's bring this up. Let me turn that sound down again. All right. So.
See, yeah, it's just my body turn. My elbow's almost outside my shoulder.
Right. So, and for you, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because you are so enormously built in your upper body, right? It's hard to get around those freaking pecs. So you just kind of got to get it tight. The tightness is what you really want.
If I round my back, it's a lot easier. I can go right to my belly button.
Yeah. So try that. Try it out. See if that's something that
my entire life I've been like this.
Right.
So then it's impossible. And that's almost if I stand at a table like that, that's it.
Yeah.
My pecs are touching each other. But if I round my back, I can go across.
Yeah. So give it a shot. Give different things a shot. Round the back. See where it is. I like your elbow movement from top to bottom is very good. We just need to incorporate that sideways. So right, you're going from top to bottom quite well, but we need to incorporate that left to right movement as well. So down and over, and then and that will come when you keep your body up.
And I felt like when I pull anyone else from the strap, I feel like it's still just hand-to-hand fight.
Yeah.
You use the strap.
Yes. So
because it was the first time I actually felt the strap draw tighter when it started.
Right. So
usually
that's
we just stay in the same position.
So yeah, the strap is like a whole nother thing altogether, right? Like a year's worth of talking we could do about the strap, which I've now done, I think, with Gary Roberts. But the key is figuring out where the strap is going with your movement, right? So when you put me into this hook, where is the strap pulling? Where is it pulling on your wrist? And where is it pulling on my wrist? Those are the things that you have to kind of think about. For me, I'm always pulling backwards. So the strap is on the back of my wrist. I'm rotating with my wrist, which then helps to actually buckle your wrist inside and buckle your hand back.
Yeah, because I felt your hand 10 times more in the strap.
Yeah.
It felt like it was just a completely different ballgame. Like you were a strap puller.
Yeah, it's 100%. I mean,
yeah.
Like you, yeah, everything goes up once I'm in the strap, because I've figured out kind of where to pull, and it allows me to not focus so much on maintaining this. It's more about the angle that I'm pulling with that.
And it's smart, seeing how like 80% of matches go to the straps and pros.
Well, that's where it's at right now anyways, right? We'll see what happens, in the future, if rules change or whatever. But for me, if you want to be any good at arm wrestling right now, you must be proficient in the straps. And if you're not,
like even my lat drag's gone now. You got full hand power control.
Yeah, so it's like kind of you're relying on just on that arm and the hand,
yeah.
Which you're still incredibly strong, right? It's still very, very strong for what
this was like 7 minutes at most, and this is the most my hand's ever been bumped.
Yeah. So, and that's the things you have to feel, right? I can't explain that to you. I can't explain, hey, I hold my opponent's hand like this, so after 1 or 2 pulls, their hand is blowing up, right? Because it's really hard to explain that. Yeah. But if you feel it, then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That is how it works. Because it doesn't seem like it really makes sense. But then it does when you actually feel it. And
you can see even just like the slate, you're not wrapping around trying to get palm to palm contact with me.
Yeah.
There's that, like you say, what is it, the bird in the cage or baby bird?
Yeah. You got to keep the bird in the cage, but don't crush the bird, right?
Yeah.
Don't smush him. Do not smush the bird. That's the key, right? It's not about it. Sometimes it is about squeezing, but generally it's about containment. And in order to properly contain, you have to have hand mobility. If you don't have hand mobility, you better be strong as all holy hell, because you're just going to have to clamp in and drive. And people have done it, right? Don't get me wrong. That's what happened with Saganashvili and Chafee, right? That's exactly what happened. He would not let Dave go and there was no straps in that match. I couldn't believe it. He would not.
No one in the world else would have prevented that slip. Especially in the last round when he was literally just like clamped him with 2 fingers and Dave was like king's move, just trying to pull his thumb out.
Yeah, ridiculous. So
I think that match actually ended on fouls and they just played it off as like just he got it.
Yeah. I mean, so obviously you can do that. But to me, it's a representation of massive, massive power. And you'll still run into problems unless you are a super beast like Saganashvili is, where it's like it doesn't matter because he's got so much power. And don't get me wrong, he's not just like squeezing with no thought. He knows where to squeeze, how hard to squeeze, how to do these things, because there is some art in that as well. But it's a different format. It's a different formula than what we're trying to do here. And so when I'm doing knife hand like that, what I'm trying to do is maintain my power to hold you without needing to squeeze. Because a lot of times their power in their arm evaporates unless they can squeeze their hand.
Yeah.
But if you have to squeeze your hand, you have 0 hand mobility, right? So the better you can maintain your arm strength and angle while not having to put the death grip on, in my opinion, the better off you are.
Yeah, I think the big thing with me is I incorporate this strength with preventing you from getting to your side of the table.
Right.
And I always just want to instantly have someone on my side, and then it's just like, keep them there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's okay. Now you just have to figure out those
what the hell to do after that.
Figure out the lanes, get what you want, think about what you want. Oh, that's some sweet stuff. The link will be in the description. We'll get the link in the description for Uncle John Arm War shirts.
And bet on Stake Kings.
StakeKings.com/arm bets. I got 7% left. 7%. That's
I've got a couple of hydro bills thrown in there.
I've put my staking into it as well. But the more I watch of David Bradford, the more I feel like I should be putting more money in there, to tell you the truth.
And just don't look at him in the eyes. That's the other thing.
Yeah, right.
Dude, way too good looking. It kind of freaks me out.
Big blue beauties.
Blue beauties. Those oceans of magnificence.
So yeah, there you have it, guys. That was the first time Misel and I ever gripped up.
Yep.
Hopefully, I think we both got some good data out of it.
I like the second one when you were showing me who's the boss the most, but
yeah. Well,
I like that one because then you were just like, I need a game plan for tomorrow. Here's the strat. This is how I pull myself.
Yeah, and it changes. And I think for you, the big things going into October, because you have now about 5 weeks until 5 or 6 weeks until Canadian Atlantics. Now, I think that you should keep your table time going and just think about controlling and body position. Control and body position. You know, I would say also start doing some ready goes with bands, you know, getting that high velocity. You know, don't do it with your boys. I mean, you can, but you're probably going to blow them apart.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about when you were saying it instantly, because the people who come over right now are pretty inside, and I know if I fire 100% off the go, because I can feel it when I let them get completely into a press or something. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, and so it also doesn't have to be all the way to the pin or all the way to the table, right?
Yeah, it's ready to go.
Hit to that position that you want, right? And just work on that. And the reaction time, because that's going to be the other thing for you in a tournament environment is, okay, now you're up on the stage. Now everybody's watching you. Now somebody is screwing with your hand. So then you forget about your elbow, and it's just time. So what I want you to do is just remember the go. Remember the go.
Supinate in until I get a ref script.
You can do that. You certainly can do that. Do not accept, if you are not comfortable outside of the ref script, do not allow that match.
I was never comfortable once in my maybe 9 ready goes in my life.
Yeah. So that's the key. Just let it, you know, that's what the rule is there for. It's over here, it's like 30 seconds. You have to get your grip. Just, you know, do what you have to do to get through that. Do not accept it, and then don't accept it, and accept it, and then don't accept it, and do different movements so you can get away from that. But because there's a lot of guys here too that are going to come up to you and just squeeze the hell out of your hand, right? And just squeeze it for all it's worth. And as good as your grip is, there might be guys that are closer, a lot closer here than in Newfoundland to matching that squeeze grip that you have. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where you're going to be at, what you're going to do. Since you're 229, you'll be able to make 220s easy then.
Well, there is a 220s class.
Right-handed, I think there is. I'll have to double check.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull both anyway.
Yeah. So you could probably do 220 and supers right-handed, and then supers left-handed, because it's 200 and up. And it's probably not wise to cut at 30 pounds in the next month. Yeah. So everybody that's here, I hope you learned something today. Leave a comment down in the comment section below and let us know what made sense, what didn't make sense. And then tell us if we're idiots and we don't even know what we're talking about. Because I get that all the time, and now I just ask for it. So feel free to say your piece down below. But you can catch Misel Jeddore at the Atlantic Canadian Championships coming up in October 16th. I'm planning to be there as well. I should be there. I'll be filming. I don't know if there's going to be live streaming capability. If there is, I'll try. But even if there's not, I'll still be filming, you know, our stuff. I won't film the entire tournament, but I'll film everything that we do. And we'll go from there, man. It'll be good times.
Ooh, you're pulling in Atlantics.
I mean, as long as I'm like functional after Arm Wars, I'll pull.
Oh my God, that'd be so awesome.
Yeah, and hopefully I can get back down to 198 for that.
Yeah,
which I think is possible because I'm like I was
you stand
211
210,
yesterday morning.
212 so good now.
Yeah.
Like you could have a off day for meals every fourth day and you stay at 210, 212.
Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping. Once I get back from Arm Wars, we'll try to, do a little cutting, get back into that 200 range and then do a slight water drop.
And you were at 193 point something for like 5-6 straight days.
Yeah.
So your body's used to being down there.
Yeah. So I know where to go. I know how to do it, and I'm excited. I'm pretty excited. Is it just you coming, or are the boys coming too?
No, I'd say Brad will go because Brad got Dave up there anyway, so it's only an easy commute for him.
Right.
Not too sure on anyone else.
Okay. Well,
I think Brian might come up just because he loves the experience and travel.
Oh yeah, a little Murphquake action.
Murphquake.
All right, brother. Well, let's talk again soon. We'll maybe do an update before Atlantics, and then obviously we'll do some videos after Atlantics as well to see how everything went, good, bad, ugly, otherwise, and we'll talk it through and we'll push to the next level. So
I don't
everyone,
see me stonewalling Sean Ross or anyone, so I should have some good takeaway to learn.
You never know. You never can tell what's going to happen.
That weird crash down power.
That's what we got. That's what we got to see. It's all data. It's all data. So it's all good. No matter what happens, it's all good. So it's going to give us points of reference on what's going wrong, what's going right, and how we can push you forward. So that's what we're really looking for at this point in time. So everybody that has watched to this point, thank you so much for joining us on Misel Jeddore's channel. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, please.
That's what we are talking about. Get this man over the 1,000 subscriber mark. All right, Misel, good times, buddy. And
all right, brother.
We will come back on and when we have more footage.
Yes, more data.
Maximum effort, everybody.